Welcome to the Back Porch, folks. My name is Ricky Alexander.
I'm Meg Farrell.
And today we have special guest. He wrote the book on ragtime. He studied with Eubie Blake, toured with Leon Redbone, the great Terry Waldo. Thank you for being here, Terry.
It's my pleasure.
Nice. I've been playing with you for several years now, and I've heard you talk about your relationship with Eubie Blake, who, for those who don't know, wrote the first all-black Broadway musical called Shuffle Along. How did you get to meet Eubie?
I started listening to ragtime and playing ragtime in high school and so forth. And about 1965, something like that, I heard a recording that he made of what became known as the Charleston Rag. And so I tried to find the music for it. You know, up to that time, everything that I played was from sheet music. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And I talked to Bob Wright, and Bob said, well, why don't you write to Eubie? He's still alive. So I got his address and sent him a letter requesting the Charleston Rag. And within a week, I got a stack of manuscripts from him of the Charleston Rag and
probably a pretty cool
and a whole
moment.
bunch of other things.
Wow.
And he said, please mention my name if you play any of these things. So a year or two after that, we both ended up playing at the St. Louis Ragtime Festival, which was a magnificent event that was held on the Goldenrod Showboat, which was the showboat that the show Showboat was based on.
Wow.
Oh, so
And
cool.
it was in St. Louis, right below the arch. I came on first and I played the Charleston Rag, which I figured out from the music, which he simplified. You know, it wasn't as complicated as what he did, and from hearing recordings and all of that sort of stuff. So I played a version of it. So he came on later, and I had not met him to that point, but he said, this man Terry Waldo played my Charleston Rag, and if he had been a woman, I would have married him.
Nice. So you guys hit it off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I did a concert with Eubie at the Theater de Lys, which is on Christopher Street. I forget what it's called now. But Eubie did a concert with me and a couple other that he called protégés. And we did that concert. It was recorded. It came out as an album. And, it was a great thing. What people didn't know was that Eubie collapsed after that performance. Came off the stage and, fell down and they, he had a 104-degree temperature. And so, they bring in the emergency squad and everything, and we asked him, why didn't you tell somebody that you were sick? And he said, I couldn't let these guys down. He says, I've already had my career and these guys haven't had a career yet. And he says, I couldn't let them down.
So for some of the younger members of our audience, can you explain like how this revival of ragtime music from the 19-teens and 20s was coming back into popularity in the 70s and what that looked like?
Well, in the 70s, I mean, I started recording ragtime in the 60s, but nothing exists until it's discovered in New York. So in the early 70s, Joshua Rifkin made a recording of Scott Joplin, Rags, and that caught on for some reason. And then The Entertainer, which had never been popular during Scott Joplin's era,
really
became the one hit from that time. And then a few years after that, then the Sting came out and they did ragtime. And then Eubie Blake was being discovered also. So, you know, he was playing concerts all around, and then they put out the published works of Scott Joplin's about that same time. In '74, when we had done that concert with Eubie Blake that got recorded, I was discovered by Tom O'Horgan. And Tom O'Horgan had been the guy who had done the original productions of Hair and Jesus Christ Superstar. He was the most experimental director, you know, on Broadway at that time. So he was doing a musical about President Warren Harding, and they needed somebody to write the music for it. And so he basically asked me if I could write in the style of the teens and 20s, and I said sure. I'd never done anything at that point yet, but I knew I could. And Tom O'Horgan brought in all of these Broadway people because he thought this was going to go to Broadway. And we did a production of it in 1976. And Vince Giordano was in the pit, and Eddie Davis conducted the show. And then we had all of these, by then, famous trad jazz guys that played in the pit. So it was a ragtime trad jazz.
Sounds awesome.
Show, basically.
Yeah. I believe isn't Dan doing a number off of that? Summer
Yes.
23. Is Summer 23
yes,
in that show?
That was one of the tunes.
Dan
yeah.
is going to perform that song later.
Maybe you'll get some royalties from
Yeah.
this.
Oh yeah, I'll be able to retire.
Sad sack SOB, filled with hate and misery. I chewed my nails and I watched too much TV. But then I heard a different key. I found a better way to be. I found a lighter load and a higher road for me. Life is now a new sensation. Love's become my inspiration. Now everything is alright with me. I love Republicans and Democrats, rattlesnakes and mean polecats, 'cause everything is alright with me. Now I just feel so happy, and gloom is on the run. It's all sunshine and roses, and I love everyone. The New York Times and the New York Post, don't know which one I love the most, 'cause everything is alright with me. stratosphere, an unkind word you'll never hear.